Hi, Mr. Right here. In this film, we are going to understand how to expand a single bracket. And we're going to do this by looking at a series of examples. So we're going to start off with this top one here, and you are probably ahead of me in your thinking. I'm going to go 5 times the 3x, gives me 15x, and copy the sign. 5 times the plus 7 is 35, or alternatively, 5 multiplied by plus 7 is plus 35. Now, what if that sign inside the bracket changes to a 7? Well, follow the same method. 5 times 3x is 15x. Now, I like to copy the sign and then go 5 sevens are 35. But you might like to say 5 times minus 7 is minus 35. Right, what about if instead of 5 times the bracket, it's 5x times the bracket? Well, same routine. 5x times 3x. That will be 15x squared, as I hope you were telling me before I worked that out myself. Copy the sign. 5x times 7 is 35x. Now, what about if I have a minus outside the bracket? What about if I'm doing minus 5 times the bracket? Minus 5 times 3x and minus 5 times plus 7. Well, this is what I like to do. I like to copy that minus sign and then go 5 times 3x is 15x, and then I change the sign because there's a minus outside. I don't copy down that sign, I change it. It was a plus, so it's going to become a minus, and then I go 5 times 7 is 35. If you don't like thinking about it that way, you can think about it this way. You can go minus 5 times the 3x is minus 15x, and then you can go minus 5 times the plus 7. Minus times the plus is a minus, of course, so minus 5 times plus 7 is minus 35. Okay, what about this one? Minus 5 times the bracket. So if you're using my method, you're going to copy that sign. 5 times 3x is 15x. And then change the sign because there's a minus outside. So I don't copy down this sign, I change it. And 5 times 7 is 35. Alternatively, you might like to think about it differently. And you might like to say to yourself, right, I'm multiplying the bracket by minus 5. Minus 5 times 3x is minus 15x. Minus 5 times minus 7. Minus times minus is a plus. Plus 5 sevens are 35. So there is a quick recap of multiplying out brackets, looking at a series of examples. Okay, your turn. Pause the film, have a go at these questions, and then press play again and see if you and I agree on our solutions. Okay, question 1. Well, I hope that causes you no problems. 6 times 2x is 12x. Copy the sign. 6 3s are 18. What about number 2? 8x times 3x. Well, that's going to give me 24x squared, and 8x times 4, I beg your pardon, copy the sign. 8x times 4, 32x. Now, beware number 3. We've got a minus outside the bracket. So, my method, my first method, copy the minus. Right. 3 times 2x squared is 6x squared. Change the sign because there's a minus outside the bracket. 3 times 3x is 9x. Change the sign because there's a minus outside the bracket. 3 4s are 12. Alternatively, you might like to think about minus 3 times 2x squared to give you minus 6x squared. You might like to think about minus 3 times plus 3x to give you minus 9x. And you might like to think about minus 3 times the minus 4 to give you plus 12. And what about number 4? Let's have a look. So I've got 4xy multiplied by 2x squared. Well, that's going to give me 8x cubed y. Copy the sign. 4xy times 3xy. Well, that's 4 threes are 12, and then I've got the x times the x and the y times the y. Copy the sign. 4xy times 4y. 4 fours are 16, x, y squared. And then minus 4xy times 1 is simply 4xy. So, what if there's not a number outside the bracket? Let's have a look at this first example here. Well, just the bracket. So what that means is just 1 times the bracket. So I can go 1 times 7x, copy the sign, 1 times 3. And similarly here, minus the bracket. Well, sometimes people find that easier if they remember it's minus 1 times the bracket and write a minus sign in there. So then I'm going to have minus 1 times 7x, minus 7x, minus 1 times plus 3 is minus 3. Okay, so well done. That was how to expand a single bracket. Next up, why not watch Expanding and Simplifying Brackets?